Hello, it's Rhea. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, I hope you are enjoying yourself. So surprise, surprise, working on my sketchbook, and I'm going to be doing flower studies. You've seen some of these in my sketchbook so far. It's kind of a reoccurring theme, but I have these flowers here, and I'm basically going to be observing them and drawing from my observations. And I will be using these fountain pens because I feel like it's a really cool way to do studies, and also I kind of just wanted to see how it looked. It's kind of cool that they make pins like this where they're essentially like what, dip pins or like a fountain pen, but it's kind of like you wouldn't really know that until you open the cap. So it's kind of discreet in that sense. And also I've wanted to work using dip pins more or like fountain pens more, but I always find them a little bit intimidating or just like odd since they're not like a typical pen, like an office pen or something. So yeah, I figured it'd be a good time to try it out. And also, fun fact, actually a couple things. One, this footage is probably almost definitely from last year, like 2025, if not somehow 2024. I want to say 2025 is more likely. But I remember doing this a hot minute ago and I never really put it into like a video, or I never got it out as a video. I think it was like when I was in a good spot for like filming and having videos ready, and I was like, oh, I could just use this as like a backup video. Lo and behold, I never prepared it until now, I guess. I think for a while I had like the footage edited, but I just had to do a voiceover, and so here I am in May of 2026 doing a voiceover for really old footage, I guess. But that being said, so I was in an inky mood then, probably because it was, I'm assuming, around Inktober. That's my guess. But even now, it's kind of funny because lately I've been thinking about getting back into it. I don't know, I have a lot of like ink and watercolor on my mind. And it's kind of tricky because I like so many different mediums and I'd like to try so many different mediums. But I feel like ink and watercolor are just so captivating. So, and I especially want to kind of pick up using a dip pen. I don't know if I'll get one of those fancy glass ones or anything like that, but just using like a dip or fountain pen kind of like this would be cool. I do like how this one's, like how these are like formatted kind of like a regular pen almost until you pull off the cap, but I do think it'd be cool to have like the more old-fashioned style where it's just like the pen itself, if that makes sense, and then you get like a little ink duct or an ink cartridge, whatever, like I guess you just call it ink. Sorry. I guess I should also add that I am incredibly sleep deprived. Basically, I decided to just stay up because my sleep schedule has been so annoyingly off to where it's like it didn't make sense for me to like stay up until 4 and then just decide to go to sleep because I knew I was gonna wake up like at noon or later, and that would have made me irritated. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to stay up all freaking day, and here we are. So apologies if I just sound absolutely insane, but hey, what's new? I'm kidding. Also, to add more to the chaos, I do not have a script for this, and honestly I don't really feel like there would be a point in even writing one at this point because yeah, this is like an older video technically, and it's on the shorter side, and it's just me doing studies literally. Like so later on, spoiler alert, I will end up using watercolor as well to color these sketches, and that's why I believe while I did show 2 pens at the beginning, I think I just stick to this main one. I believe it's the Tachikawa one, and I did that because this one does not like really budge if I put water over it, and since I planned on coloring it with watercolor, that's kind of important. So it might not, like, I'm pretty sure it'll lose some of its sharpness maybe, or maybe it just looks different from whenever it's colored compared to whenever it's black and white. I do kind of like the sharpness of how it looks right now, like before I start coloring all of my sketches. I don't do it until like the very end, but I don't know, something about it's kind of fun, and you can see that I'm having fun playing with all the different details on the petals. I will say it's kind of difficult to draw from like draw an object as you see it, like 3D instead of a picture. It like it's more beneficial, I'd say, but it is also kind of something that poses its own challenge, especially because like with your eyes, how it's like, you know, your left eye and right eye do not have the exact same perspective, right? So it's like sometimes I kind of get confused on that, and I need to figure out like which one I want to go with, like which view I want to go with. And I don't know, I think I just overthink it, to be honest. But and it doesn't help that there's so many different like petals to these flowers, and they're not always orderly either. It's like some of the petals are like leaning over or like kind of wilted. I don't know what this flower is off the top of my head. I want to say it might just be like a form of autumn daisies. I could be totally wrong on that though, so if you know, feel free to let me know. But I started this because I'm pretty sure at some point, I think in either 2023 or 2024, I was like, whenever I started the sketchbook at least, I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure that any flower I get within this year, whether if I purchase it myself or somebody else gives it to me, I will do studies of it, because I wanted to get better at drawing flowers, because I feel like that's an element that I might use in future illustrations quite often. It's a fun element to use, so and they're obviously pretty, so why not, you know? Honestly, if I could find a really good encyclopedia type book that just has all different kinds of flowers and really good photos of them and little fun facts or descriptions of them, I think that'd be great. Honestly, by doing these pages, that's kind of what this feels like I'm creating, but definitely not nearly as crafted as what an actual illustration book might have. And there's so little that I know about actual flowers, but I do like plants and botany, and I would really like to draw them more and just kind of get used to them, because the structures of how they work just goes completely beyond my mind sometimes. But doing these studies, I get like a little bit closer to understanding them and kind of how they work. But the petals always get me, always, because it's like, I don't know. It's like I always worry about not having them fit comfortably, even though it's like I'm drawing this exactly how I see it. So it's not like the petals weren't floppy. It's like sometimes they're like that. They're not always like perfectly shaped, if that makes sense. But it's really cool to see how like the petals form and how they like come out of the stem and all of that. Also, my line work is not anything that I feel like is like neat or anything. I'm kind of taking a rather sketchy approach, but I had fun with it in a way. Like, even though I wasn't being super perfect and intentional with all of my lines, you can see me kind of use the sketching motion quite often, and it creates like this raggedness to my lines, but I really don't mind it in this case, especially because I am usually sketching with a pencil. So it's kind of interesting to be doing this with a pen, and let alone a pen like this where it's like fountain pen. But I don't know, I think it's pretty cool how it ends up looking, even with the roughness, because you can still see that I'm meaning to add or show detail in the petals and in the flowers. So yeah, and sometimes you can see the flowers peek in. It's a really pretty color though. I really like the autumn-esque type colors that these flowers came in, and I always think about, you know, what kind of flower should I get based off of the time of year that it is, and it's always fun. I try to switch it up, but right now it's spring. I think the latest flower that I bought was carnations. I'm looking at them right now and they're like so dead. That's another thing. I often keep the flowers in my room like wilting and dying for too long. Like, I should definitely replace them, but I'm just, on one hand, I just can't be bothered, but on the other hand, I'm like, ugh, I have to buy them again. And it can get expensive, or just kind of, you know, I feel like I should spend my money like more carefully instead of just whimsically on a whim buying flowers. But every now and then, it's like a fun form of self-care to look at something pretty, if that makes sense. So yeah. And the look that I'm going for, I feel like whenever I'm doing these studies with this ink like this, I always call it like the old English textbook style because I don't really know how else to explain it. I'm sure there's like a proper phrase for it, so I definitely need to like look into that, and I'm sure there's like different genres of this style too, but I just think it's really cool. And I always think of like older textbooks that, you know, when they show an illustration, especially if it's like a black and white textbook, it usually has this with like the hatching, cross hatching, and like the little dots sometimes. It all just depends, but we're getting to the point where I start coloring in the flowers, and I am using Paul Rubens watercolors, which I feel like something that I've noticed about them is like I always underestimate like the color to water ratio, if that makes sense. Like I expect there to be more pigment than what there really is, and I don't know if I just needed to layer up more or what, but you'll definitely see me fight with it in this process of coloring, so bear with me, I guess. But I hope this is like, I don't know, it looks okay enough to watch come together, because I think another reason why I was like, this will just be like some kind of backup filler video is because it's not like I'm painting or drawing anything like super amazing, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if this looks like good to anybody or anything like that. I kind of was like, well, I want to do studies of these flowers, and I don't know, maybe that can be a video. And I was like, yeah, okay. And here we are. But I worry that if I'm not drawing something like super clickbaity, essentially, like a really majestic looking character all the time, then it's just gonna get like lost in the void. And at this point, I'm okay with accepting that, but I guess it's like always at the back of my mind where I'm like, oh, this isn't like the most majestic thing ever, so it might be kind of skipped upon. Or it's like drawing characters, I feel like always gets much more recognition than drawing like objects or landscapes and things like that, because I've noticed that I've seen really amazing like landscape artists or artists that draw like objects and not so much people, and it's like, yeah, their art is amazing and you know they're highly skilled, but I don't really see them get as much recognition on that or engagement on that online. And I'm like, dang, that's so crazy though, because like they work so well with this. But then again, I mean, these people could be getting hired as well, and that's like their job. Especially for environmental artists, like that's insane. There's so many things that I want to get better at and improve. It's definitely not just character art, so I do think that even though it doesn't look as aesthetically captivating towards the masses, it's always worth, like, it's worth the grind, I guess. The grind of learning. As long as it's enjoyable, I think that's important. But yeah, I can see now, even like watching back the footage, like it's like the color, when I place it down, I'm like, okay, yeah, and then it fades and I'm like, oh. I use my Holbein watercolors and my Paul Rubens probably the most lately, and I definitely don't feel like I'm skilled enough to give proper input on either of them. Because I'm still learning a lot, and watercolor in general, it's a medium that I enjoy, but I also don't really know, like it's so intuition based on how I like work with it. So yeah, and since we're getting towards the end, I guess this would be a good time to bring up stay tuned, because I actually have quite the amount of videos that I have filmed, and I have to now edit all of those, and I'm practically stuck in editing hell now, so that's gonna be great. Maybe I should do that while I'm trying to stay awake, but I am also kind of scared because, like, you know, when you just kind of go insane from not sleeping properly and trying to stay up, I'm worried that's, yeah, like, I don't know if I should. We'll see. But you can expect a good amount of sketchbook content because, ooh, should I say it in this video specifically and none of the others? I actually finished my sketchbook. I like just finished it because it's all I've been really working on for like the past couple of weeks, and it's been insane. But yeah, so stay tuned to all that and what that comes with, but I'm pretty much finishing things up here by adding some washi tape from Maruti Vitamin. I love their work a lot, so definitely not the last time you'll see it. But I think it's so cute and it really ties the spread together. But on that note, I'll go ahead and do my outro stuff or whatever. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed your time here today, please let me know by leaving a like. If you're interested to see more, check out my other videos and subscribe. If you're new, I am Rhea or Etheria, and I like making art and art-related content on my channel. Till next time, once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I wish you a nice rest of your day and week. Take care!